What's up, everyone? Welcome to The Point. I'm your host, Ana Kasparian, and we have a super fun and maybe controversial show ahead for you guys today. We have two awesome panelists, Charlie Berens, who is the host of At Hollywood. He's returning to the show to answer some very difficult questions.
Very difficult questions.
Thank you for coming
looking forward
back.
to it. Thanks for having me back.
It's going to be fun. And we also have Francis Maxwell. He is host of TYT Sports and of What the Flick here at TYT Network. Francis, thank you for joining us.
Happy to be back on.
Bringing those sexy ties to TYT.
Right? I was going to say, how do I have to come up with that?
Just when I make a point, I go like this.
All right.
I'll do it in my head.
We're going to talk about the fashion industry just a little bit today. At the start of the show, we will discuss one of America's Next Top Models who has vitiligo, and apparently she has sparked another debate about the issue regarding cultural appropriation, so we'll delve into that. Also, Twitter is siding with politicians in a very, very discouraging way. One man fought for 5 years to get his offensive band name copyrighted or trademarked. Did it work? We'll tell you how. And also, a virgin gets a bionic penis. What the hell is a bionic penis, and does it actually work? These are all interesting, fun topics, and of course, we're going to delve into them and make our points. But before we get to that, I want to do something a little different on today's show. In the first version of The Point, there was a segment called No Filter. And in No Filter, I pick a topic and I just rant about it. I haven't done one in a while because we obviously have a new format on the show. But I came across a story yesterday that infuriated me. I'm not entirely sure why I was upset about it, but I wanted to share my opinion with you guys. And of course, I want to hear what you think. So comment and let me know if you side with me or disagree with me. Incoming freshmen at Duke University had a list of books that were optional to them. They were able to read them before coming into the school just so they can be on the same page as their peers. Well, apparently some of the students were really upset at one of the books in the selection because they felt that it was insensitive to conservative values. The book is Fun Home by a New York Times award-winning author by the name of Alhassen and Ana Kasparian. And apparently it has to do with her experience as a lesbian and also having a closeted gay father. It has gay themes, and apparently it has some illustrations that depict nudity and sexual acts. Now, one of the students who is not too happy about this is Brian Grosso, and he actually went on Facebook's Class of 2019 Duke University page to complain about this. And his complaint was, look, I'm not going to read this. This goes against my conservative morals. I really wish that this hadn't been assigned in the first place. He was actually surprised that it was assigned, which only went to infuriate me more. So why am I so upset? Here's the thing about college. You're supposed to be confronted with ideas that might conflict with your own. You're supposed to be challenged because when you go into college, you're an idiot. When you graduate college, you're still an idiot, but you're slightly smarter, right? And so if you go into college and you want confirmation bias, you're wasting your time. And unfortunately, if you just reject what's assigned to you because it goes against your so-called morals, well, A, you're not going to grow, and B, you're being beyond disrespectful to the people who have put careful consideration into lesson plans and also book selections. I'm teaching at Cal State University Northridge right now. I teach journalism. And if one of my students came to me and said, I can't read this book on how to write for broadcast news because it goes against my morals, well, I would suggest that they drop out of the school and go do something else. Maybe they could go work at a church or something, because if you're not interested in learning, then you don't belong on a college campus. Now, this isn't me rejecting people's religious morals. It's okay if you have religious morals, but understand that when you're in a college setting, you are going to be confronted with information that might make you feel uncomfortable, but that's a good thing. That's supposed to make you a well-rounded individual. If you're constantly surrounded by people who are always agreeing with you, you will never grow, and that's precisely what will happen to Brian Grosso. So Brian, please open your mind. Gay people exist. Gay themes exist. That's reality. Just because it goes against your moral compass doesn't mean that the gay community doesn't exist, and it doesn't mean that you're somehow better than everyone else. And also, you had some sort of objection to the pornographic nature of the book. I mean, I venture to say that if anyone went through your search history, they might find a thing or two that would conflict with what you have to say. But that's just my speculation. All I really want to get across to everyone who's watching this video is that education is important. And no matter how difficult it is to absorb conflicting views, you absolutely have to do it just to be a smarter and better person. That's my point. America's Next Top Model featured a very unique looking model that doesn't get a lot of attention, usually in the mainstream fashion industry. Very beautiful woman by the name of Winnie Harlow. Now, she has a skin condition known as vitiligo, and apparently she has many, many fans because of her success on America's Next Top Model. She finished in 5th place, and as a result, she has gotten some sponsorships and some partnerships with brands such as Diesel, and her fan base has grown considerably. Now, there are a number of people, like the people you're seeing right now, who wanted to celebrate her skin condition and show how beautiful they think it is by doing makeup on themselves to make it seem as though they also have vitiligo. They did this in solidarity with Winnie Harlow, and unfortunately there are a number of people who are really upset about this because they have equated this to blackface. Blackface is a serious issue. It was basically used by white actors and actresses, mostly actors, decades ago, basically to make fun of black people. So blackface is a serious issue. However, the question is, does this situation show a perfect example of blackface, or does this show people who have good intentions, who are just trying to celebrate this particular model? Really curious to see what you guys think. Francis, make your point.
This kind of goes along with a certain interview I watched with a certain Ana Kasparian, and is it Fumes, I believe, the
Yes.
DJ? How is this? I mean, you're trying to tell me that these people, in celebrating the beauty of a skin condition, which many people, let's be honest, in today's society would view as a disfigurement, as something that's not exactly pretty or anything else, how is them celebrating the beauty of that offending people? That's what I want to know, and that's what it comes down to, this celebrating of different cultures, etc., of different conditions, different races. Too many people are too sensitive in thinking that it's so within their own environment that no one else can share it, no one else can go out and portray it. And I think that's pretty shocking, to be honest, because if you're celebrating something, celebrating the beauty of something, is that not helping in making the condition better? Is that not helping in making those people feel more comfortable about being the way they are? Yeah,
you make a really good point. And I don't think that this is a black or white issue. Weird choice of words, but you guys know what I mean. There are a lot of nuances in a story like this, and unfortunately I feel like a lot of people are missing the nuances. Charlie, what do you think? Make your point.
Yeah, I think what Winnie said in her Instagrams was basically, leave these people alone. This is appreciation, and I think sometimes there's a fine line between appreciation and appropriation. I'm not an expert on that, and I don't really, feel comfortable saying one way or the other, but what I do know is that if you don't agree with the way somebody's doing it, the way to get them to change their mind is not rake them over the social media coals. And that seems to be the tone of people who disagree with it. Look, it's something that reasonable people can be on both sides of the argument, but just have a constructive conversation. Don't say, shaking my head or what, it is what it is. People are trying to help them appreciate better if you don't agree with the way they're appreciating.
Yeah, I think that educating people about issues like this is so important, but you're absolutely right. I mean, right now, the outrage related to this story immediately turns people off to opening themselves up to different perceptions. And just to give you a sense of what Winnie Harlow had to say about this, she does not agree with those who are criticizing her fans. She says, every time someone wants fuller lips or a bigger bum or curly hair or braids does not mean our culture is being stolen. Have you ever stopped to realize these things used to be ridiculed and now they're loved and lusted over? No one wants to steal our look here. We've just stood so confidently in our own nappy hair and do-rags and big asses, or in this case, my skin, and now those who don't have it love and lust after it. Just because a black girl wears blue contacts and long weave doesn't mean she wants to be white, and just because a white girl wears braids and gets lip injections doesn't mean she wants to be black. The amount of mixed races in this world is living proof that we don't want to be each other. We've just gained a national love for each other. So she makes some good points in there. She also makes some points that I disagree with. But overall, when it comes to the issue of cultural appropriation, it's a group of people who might want to celebrate certain elements of some other person's culture, but they don't celebrate the person themselves. And so that's an issue that should be brought up. However, in this case, again, intentions matter. These are people who love this model. They're celebrating this model. They want to raise awareness about a skin condition that hasn't gotten a lot of attention in the past. And I'm going to go ahead and give them a pass. As controversial as that is, again, intentions matter. And demonizing these people doesn't help progress a conversation about cultural appropriation. That's my take. Now, here's the question I want to ask you guys about this story. What do you think is over-stigmatized in society? Charlie, let me start with you.
I think Down syndrome would be one that I would, my little cousin has it, and a lot of times the way people interact around the parents of someone with Down syndrome or the kid themselves, they could be very happy and enjoy their perspective on life. But since we view it as different, we say, oh, I'm sorry about that, or oh, that must be terrible or awful. There are some challenges with it, but I don't think it's any, that existence is no worse than the existence that we have. It's just different. The biggest problem with it is the stigma attached to it.
That's really interesting. Francis, what do you think?
I think I'm going to just go and piggyback on what we're talking about already. Like, just cultural appreciation, right? So I understand the whole argument around what goes on with different cultures, and there's a way to basically celebrate someone's culture without trying to think that you are within that culture. So how many times have I told people I'm from Scotland and I'm like, oh, I own a kilt. I appreciate Scotland. It's great. I've got a kilt, and I'm like, okay, it's good. Like, I enjoy that. You're celebrating something that is close to my heart. Do I think that you understand the full meaning of it? Unless you're telling me, then no. But I can still appreciate it. But there's so many people out there that take offense to someone trying to appreciate and trying to celebrate different cultures in this world, that I think we are far too sensitive to it. Because the way as I just reiterate my first point, the way I see it, if you're celebrating something, then you're not hating against it, and you're not bringing a negative light against it. You're trying to portray a message that if more people viewed things that way, there wouldn't be such a disconnect amongst different cultures. So for me, especially in the United States, because there's such a blend of cultures here, that I think that it's over stigmatized how many people try to celebrate different cultures, and people just get offended too easy.
I would say the one thing that I'm kind of fed up with being stigmatized is just normal sexual activity, right? So sexting among teenagers is a huge thing, and unfortunately something will get leaked online, and then a teenager will kill herself as a result of that. And so the reason why that happens is because society will look at that naked picture or a sex tape, and they'll go ahead and say, oh my God, this girl, look at her. She's done for. And they'll stigmatize her for doing something that's absolutely natural and normal. Now, in the case of teenagers, they're producing child pornography, so there's a legal issue with that. But it spills over into adulthood, where we shame and demonize people for having sex and maybe sending a nude picture to their significant other, who then later ends up being a jerk who posts it online. So don't demonize them. Don't, treat them like they're shit. They're normal people, and I hate that people lose their jobs and have to deal with all this terrible stuff just because they film themselves having sex. And this is coming from someone who has never filmed herself having sex, because I know what the realities are and I know what it could do to my life. But we need to kind of grow up a little bit and realize that this is something that we should be desensitized to. We shouldn't care so much. All right, so tell us what you think. What do you think is over-stigmatized in society? And also, what do you make of this story? This is a very hot button topic, and a lot of people disagree with some of the comments that were shared in this panel. Disagreement's okay. We want you to share your point. So comment in the section below, tell us what you think, and we'll see you soon. Politwoops was a Twitter account that would basically post deleted tweets of politicians. Now, they did this in order to hold politicians accountable for something that they might have posted and then regretted and then deleted later. They didn't post things that had grammatical errors or spelling errors. It was all about making sure that elected officials were held accountable for what they were doing. Now, unfortunately, Twitter has decided to shut Politwoops down, not only in the United States, but 30 other countries. Now, these sites are dedicated to archiving deleted tweets from politicians around the world, not just the United States, and it's actually overseen by the Open State Foundation, which promotes digital transparency. Now, Twitter gave an interesting reason for why they made this decision. They didn't say that they did this because they want to side with the politicians. They're just interested in protecting the features that everyone gets to enjoy, according to them. Here's what they had to say. Imagine how nerve-wracking, terrifying even, Twitter would be if it was immutable or irrevocable. No one user is more deserving of that ability than another. Indeed, deleting a tweet is an expression of the user's voice. Now, I don't know if I'm really buying this, and there are a bunch of other experts who completely disagree with Twitter's decision. Arjan El Fazed said the same thing. He says, what politicians say in public should be available to anyone. This is not about typos, but it is a unique insight on how messages from elected politicians can change without notice. Now, I'm curious to see what you guys think. We talked about this a little bit on the Young Turks, and I completely disagree with Twitter's decision to do this. Yes, maybe they're very worried that people will no longer use Twitter if they think that something might come back and bite them in the ass later. But the reality is Twitter won. Everyone needs a Twitter account, especially if they're a public figure. And when it comes to politicians, what they post online says a lot about them. And if they post something without thinking about it first, I think that that shows a weakness in their leadership, and they should be held accountable for anything that they put up on a very, very public forum. Also, this extends to everyone in certain ways, because regardless of what you think, if you post something online and then later delete it, it's very, very likely that that will still exist some way, somehow. So no one's really protected after deleting tweets, even if Twitter says that they offer that feature. What do you guys think about this? Charlie, make your point.
I think this is totally inexcusable on Twitter's part. I mean, Twitter was a great thing and still is for journalists and for politicians to state their point. But if you give politicians the option to remove that, that eliminates a tool to hold them accountable. Because if they remove a tweet that they may not agree with anymore, well then you want to follow the money and see who donated to their campaign. If you want to get that cynical about it, which a lot of people do and should, to be honest. I don't know what they gain from this. I feel like they should have more support in the journalism side of things than the political side of things. They have stagnant growth right now, and I don't think this is going to help it. So.
Good point, Francis.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to piggyback on that. It's the same thing I was going to say, but it's typical that it's politicians that this has happened with. I mean, they would fall out of a window and go up the way. There's just no way that someone, they're not held accountable for things that they do in everyday life as it is. And now when you've got such a social universe such as Twitter, well, you should be held accountable for what you say. I totally agree with what you're saying, Anna, not just from a political standpoint, but from anyone. If you feel confident enough that you're going to make an opinion, you have to stand by that opinion at one point. And typos and everything aside, yeah, you can go and delete and retweet it back. But if you're going to say something that means a lot to certain people who are hanging on your every word to maybe help them economically or help them politically, then you need to be prepared to stand by that statement and not delete it when things maybe change down the future. So I agree. I think this is really shady on Twitter's part.
Absolutely. Well, here's the personal question for the story. Have you ever posted something to social media that you later regretted? Francis, I'll start with you.
I did. I think I was in college and I was just getting sick of the Kardashians, right? And I posted this massive, long rampage on Facebook about I just can't believe they make money doing this. But I came to Kardashian sex tape this, and then when I came into the Young Turks, one of the first red carpets I was supposed to do was supposed to be with I think it was Kendall and Kylie Jenner there, and I was like, oh shit, I'm just going to have to ask them normal everyday questions, even though I just completely ragged on them. So I think that was one.
Hilarious. Charlie, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I've had some tweets. I mean, I've been on since 2008, so there's a lot of time in there to make some mistakes. Don't go digging through my account. But, no, I think when you're watching the debates or whatever, and you just rattle off some joke that you're like, oh, that was so funny. I did Ted Cruz and put a picture of Grandpa Munster next to him, how that looks. But then you go on Twitter and you everybody else has already done it, and you're like, okay.
That's not the worst thing in the world, though. I actually had a terrible social media situation last night. So Karamo, who's been on the show quite a bit, tweeted me with a screenshot of what appeared to be Drake's Twitter account. And it appeared that Drake had tweeted about a TYT clip that we did regarding these two guys in Boston who beat up a homeless Latino man. And I lost my shit because I'm a huge Drake fan, and my boyfriend was taking a shower at the time. I started screaming when I saw it, and Karamo is someone I trust, so I was like, Karamo's not going to steer me in the wrong direction, right? So I immediately thought, okay, it's definitely Drake. I'm losing my mind. I'm screaming. Boyfriend's frightened. He thinks that there's something wrong. No, nothing's wrong. It's just that Drake tweeted a TYT clip. He's like, oh my God, whatever. And there was actually one point in the night where I was laying on the couch and I told him, I never really thought there was a moment in your career where you feel like you've made it, but I think this is the night, right? Later on, I found out that it was a Drake parody account.
Oh, no.
It wasn't Drake's account. And the reason why I'm saying it was a terrible social media situation is because I had screenshotted it and I shared it on every social media platform. I was so happy, and then later on people were like, that's a parody account.
Was it verified?
I was so embarrassed. No, I'm an idiot. But that's the thing. When something like that happens, you get so excited that you don't even want to verify it. You just want to be like, yeah, Drake's totally into me. We're going to get married tomorrow. Anyway, I deleted those tweets because I felt like a clown. But a lot of people did screenshot them, so I'm sure you can find it. Anyway, tell us what you guys think. Share your worst social media meltdown situation, what have you. And also, what do you think about Twitter's decision to get rid of Politwoops? Maybe you think that it's a good idea. Maybe you think everyone should enjoy the feature of deletion. Tell us what you think. Comment in the section below, and we'll see you soon. Simon Tam is a Chinese performer. In fact, he has a boy band known as Chinatown Dance Rock. No, that's not the name of it, but it's known for performing that type of music. And he actually wants to trademark the name of the group, and the name is The Slants. The only issue is the trademark office thinks that that name is derogatory and they refuse to give him the trademark. In fact, they have cited something known as the Lenham Act, and apparently he violated it. The act prevents people from trademarking, quote, immoral, deceptive, or scandalous material or matters. Now, all members of Slant are Asian American, and Tam highlights in an article the irony of the legal system. He says the following: it would be a bunch of white people debating what's offensive to Asians. That's our legal system. He also says, so when the trademark office made their decision, it was like, what? The only thing they showed was an UrbanDictionary.com definition and a photo of Miley Cyrus and Toby Keith pulling their eyes back in a gesture. So I thought, let's fight this thing. So this is actually going to go to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit on October 2nd, and this is going to happen in Washington, D.C. I don't see why it's an issue to trademark the name The Slants. If they're Asian and that's the name of their group and they want to trademark it, they should be able to do so. However, it might be offensive to other Asian Americans, so who knows? Maybe we should open ourselves up to that perception or perspective. Yeah. What do you guys think? Charlie, make your point.
Yeah, I mean, if this Asian American thinks The Slants is an appropriate name for his band, this white guy isn't going to tell him otherwise. Mm-hmm. And I also Googled the term just because I hadn't heard it used as a racist term for, I don't think I had. So I Googled it, and the only thing I found was this lawsuit about it. I didn't find it actually being used. And I don't know what Toby Keith and Miley Cyrus were thinking, but that was the only thing on Urban Dictionary.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, if is NWA trademarked? Is it? If it is, then I think...
Yeah, I mean, I that's a great point. I haven't looked into that, but when you kind of delve into what NWA means, I mean...
Yeah.
Right? Sure. Francis?
I think this is one of the few points that I'm literally just going to sit on the fence on because I don't know either side. So I think that I completely agree. If this is something that he is close to his heart in terms of the name of his band and that this is the way they've always been known, basically, throughout each other, then they've got every right to try and fight for that name to be associated with them. But I do agree, and I have heard that term being used racially. So I understand that there may be, I don't know people personally, but I have heard it being used, and some people would use that as a way to maybe discredit the band or to discredit Asian Americans in general. So this is one that I was racking my brain, like, do I just go with the freedom of speech perspective, or do I have to go with the other side and think that I would not like to promote, I would say, racial discrimination, which I think some people would use in this example.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how this plays out in court. Again, this is another case that isn't black and white. There are many nuances here, and just because the name doesn't necessarily offend the members of the group, it could offend other Asians living in the United States who have felt discriminated or, hated on because of their background. So I'm not really firm in one decision or another. Yeah. I'm very curious to see what happens because I think that our First Amendment rights also come into play here. And so should the government come in and tell a band what they can and can't name themselves or what they can and can't trademark as the name of their band? I don't know. We'll see. So here's the personal question. What do you believe is the greatest band of all time?
This is easy.
Go ahead. You're going to say the Beatles.
This is it. No way.
What are you going to say?
Oasis.
Oasis?
Are by far the best band. Oh, Anna, come on.
Oasis.
Well, our friendship's about to go
like
right down
Oasis.
the toilet right here, unless you do.
No, I like Oasis, but the greatest band of all time?
Yeah, so when you think of, like, one of the greatest songs that everyone, no matter where you're from, plays, it's Wonderwall. Like, everyone knows Wonderwall, they know where to play it, and when you go into a bar, everyone plays this song. Oasis, for me, greatest band of all time. Undoubtedly.
I like Oasis. I don't know if I agree with you on that. Charlie, what do you think?
I don't know how I follow up Oasis or the argument for Oasis. That was impressive. I was going to say Bob Dylan when he was with the band. Okay. That was the greatest. Again, Oasis, it's a close second to that, I guess. But that's what I'm going
I
with.
love how Francis was like so sure of himself too. It's like everybody knows it's Oasis.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
Oasis.
I'm forgetting I'm in America actually, because if I was in the UK, this is an unarguable.
Yeah, I can totally see. Like, I remember when I went to Europe for the first time, the tour bus that we were on played that Oasis song every single day, every hour of the day. It was amazing.
How about you?
I'm gonna go with the Rolling Stones. Like, the Rolling Stones are freaking amazing. I just recently saw them perform, and considering how long they've been around, it's amazing that they can still put together a pretty good show. But there's so much versatility and variety in their music. It's bluesy, it's R&B-ish, it's obviously rock and roll. Like, there's a lot going on, and they managed to kind of evolve with the music industry, which is why their music is so timeless, if you ask me.
Kind of like Oasis is.
Oasis? Really?
Just going to get the final word on that. I think you got to accept
We'll
that.
let the comments. We'll let the comment section describe.
Yes.
I bet you the comment section agrees
Yes,
with me.
let us know, okay? Rolling Stones or Oasis?
Or Bob Dylan.
Or Bob Dylan. Let's not forget Bob Dylan.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, tell us what you think. We love hearing from you guys, and we'll see you soon. 43-year-old Mohammed Abad was a victim of a terrible, tragic accident when he was 6 years old. A car actually dragged him 600 yards, and as a result, he lost his penis. Now, he went through his entire life without a penis, and of course, as a result, he wasn't able to have sex. But researchers were able to do something miraculous. They successfully attached what's referred to as a bionic penis to his body. Now, he had to undergo over 100 surgeries to construct it, and the way it works is the penis has two tubes that run through it. And he presses a button that's located close to his testicles, and it basically makes fluid flow through the tubes in order to give him an erection. Then he's able to successfully have sex, and then later on he can push the button again and he loses the erection. Now, he's really happy and excited about this. Back in 2003, Abad appeared on a news segment called Embarrassing Bodies. Now, since he has a functioning penis, he's looking for love, and he's hoping that one day he could start a family. This is an incredible story. I mean, of course, there's a salacious nature of it because it involves a penis, but what I love is it shows you just how far you can go with scientific research and medical advancements. With this medical advancement, he's able to live a better life, a full life, and he's absolutely happy about it. And so for all the people out there who embrace religion and reject science at the same time, I guess my question to you would be, what would happen if this guy prayed for a penis? Would he get one? I mean, he got a penis because scientists did the research necessary to advance the medical field and give him what he needed. And that's why, for me, science trumps everything else. I want to know what you guys think about this story. Charlie, make your point.
Well, on that note, you know, even if you are religious, it's like God gave you a brain, and with that brain, science. You know? So they can both go hand in hand. Great story, wonderful that he can finally have a penis, and he went for it, 8 inches. Good on you.
I'm glad that you mentioned that point. I don't
Good
know
on
why
you.
I forget to mention that they gave him like a nice, I don't know if it's girthy, but a nice long penis.
You know?
We'll find out.
Yeah, if you're
Long
going to go for it, go for it.
Right.
Don't go crazy with it, but go for it, and he did.
Right.
So.
I know, I would assume most guys would be like, yeah, give me that 12-inch dick. No, he was like, I'm a modest man.
I'll settle with
I'm
8.
a modest man, okay?
It's fine.
Francis, make your point.
I mean, I'm just so happy for this guy in terms of like his confidence must have been just shot for years, right? He must have just been so, I would just say, on edge whenever he would, I don't even know if he did date or not, and I just feel so sorry for him in that aspect because he's missing out on so much of the joys in life, and for science to be able to provide him the opportunity to live a normal, fruitful life and be able to experience like one of the best things that anyone could ever experience is great. So, and he's Scottish, good man.
Yes, very, very happy for him. Now, which body part would you be willing to sacrifice for someone in need? Charlie?
Ooh, I know for sure, without a question, I would do my little toe. And then
Okay,
beyond
generous man.
that, I could do skin, a skin graft.
Okay.
Maybe donate my hair.
Okay, all right. Look,
So,
better than
yeah.
nothing.
Better
I
than
respect
nothing,
that.
but very little, but better than nothing.
What about you, Francis?
I think in general, this is a joke that kind of goes along with like people who've played football with me in the past know that I cannot do shit with my left foot. So I would probably donate that just because I don't use it for much. I mean,
You use it for walking,
I use
but
it for
no
walking,
big deal.
but like
No
when it
big
comes to
deal.
football,
Yeah.
like everyone used to make the joke, like your left foot's for standing on. It's like a wooden leg. You wouldn't matter if you did. So I get, but I agree. I think if it was for someone desperately in need, I don't think there's anything, especially if someone close to you, that I wouldn't give.
Yeah,
definitely.
I agree with you. So my mom has a terrible kidney condition. Right now she's on dialysis. And I actually wanted to donate my kidney to her, but unfortunately I wasn't a match.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I would willingly give to someone in need. But unfortunately I have the worst blood type. I'm AB positive, meaning I can only donate organs and blood to people who have the exact same blood type as me.
Wow.
However, I'm a universal taker. So if I ever need organs or blood, I can take it from anyone.
Nice.
I'm a greedy person, okay? But yeah, I mean, watching my mom go through that makes me realize just how traumatizing it is, so I would want to help someone. And you can live a full life with one kidney, so just keep that in mind for any of you who might want to consider donating. All right, guys, tell us what you think. Would you ever donate a body part for someone in need? And also, what do you think about this man and the surgery? Do you think that this is a success? And do you think that this is something that could maybe evolve into a more successful medical practice for all the people out there who suffered mutilation as a result of things like circumcision? I mean, these things happen, and it's good to know that there are options out there for men now. Tell us what you think. Comment in the section below, and we'll see you soon. No one likes ISIS. A lot of people like karaoke, but one man hates ISIS and karaoke at the same time, so he decided to make a Twitter account about it. Now, this man has created the ISIS karaoke account on Twitter, and what he does, he refers to himself as Jimmy, by the way, he's a 32-year-old, is he'll take screenshots of ISIS militants and then dub song lyrics to them, right? And the song lyrics are usually from people like Beyonce or Britney Spears or Ice Cube. We'll give you a few examples. Let's take a look at the pictures. So there's one, because the player's gonna play, and the hater's gonna hate. That's one of the more lovable songs from Taylor Swift, which is fun. I like it. Let's take a look at the next one. All right, my loneliness is killing me. I must confess, I still believe. You guys know that. That's Britney Spears. If you don't know that, you're too young and you probably shouldn't be watching the show. Okay, there's another example. Some Madonna for you. Vogue. It's just funny because obviously these are terrible, hideous, violent people, but he's poking fun at them in such a clever way. Yeah. And, you know, his Twitter account has now gone viral. People are talking about him. And I think this is a really great way of not necessarily making light of a serious situation, but finding humor in the darkest places, I guess. So I wonder what you guys think about this. Francis, make your point.
That was what I was going to say, is making light, not making light of something, but adding a humorous side, which probably, if you're looking at these awful people looking at this, they're probably directly offended by it, which is great, because you're just going to piss them off with that idea. And it's using the creative ways of the internet to just basically have people look at this and laugh at how desperate these people are, and to make light of it, and not so much in showing like any sort of positive side of it, but just to make a parody account of something that is so awful is going to provide a smile for some people that's going to look at there. I know there's another one for I think it's King Jong-il has another one parody account, which are all pretty hilarious just to look at in general. But yeah, I mean, this is one of the times where you're like, people are using the internet right. This is a good example.
I love it. Charlie, what about you?
Yeah, I think the comedy is the best way to take the wind out of, you know, this force you can't get over, take the wind out of their sails. And in one of the articles, this guy cites Mel Brooks, who did the same thing with the Nazis. And, you know, you look at Stephen Colbert, he took the wind out of the conservative right with his character. And I think this is just a very effective way of just downplaying this terrible thing, and then just allowing the conversation to get away from fear and more toward how can we overcome this.
Very well put, absolutely. Now, what is your favorite go-to karaoke song? I'll start. I like karaoke a lot. Usually they don't have this, but whenever they have it available, I love to sing it. So Anxious by Genuine. Just because I like grinding and singing to the person who's running the karaoke and like getting all sexual up on stage. Like, it's just me kind of playing out my alter ego, I guess. I don't know. And
Can
also
you sing
Genuine.
us a bar?
Yeah, my voice is terrible, by the way. Like, I do it in a comical way. I don't do it as like, oh, I'm a really good singer. No.
So that's a no.
No.
You're gonna pass on that.
So anxious. So meet me at 11:30. I love it when you're talking dirty. Come on, I fucking love that song. Who doesn't fucking love that song?
I love it now.
All right, you guys. Thank you.
Oh, us.
Yeah.
Okay, so I tend to go for the songs where I can talk really fast so you can't tell about, you know, how my voice is. So it's like Red Hot Chili Peppers, like Give It Away
I
or
was gonna say
whatever,
that.
or the Fresh Prince theme song, in West Philadelphia. Because
You don't
that
have
way,
to sing that much. You just rap your way through it.
I just wrap my way through it because that way you can't tell that these pipes haven't been cleaned in a while.
So actually, Red Hot Chili Peppers is a great choice because if you don't know the lyrics, all you have to do is say California over and over again.
Yeah, and mix it with other words like
yeah.
Californication, California,
Different
whatever.
variations of the word California.
Yeah.
Francis, what about you?
I know probably based on the other clip, you're going to think I'm going to say Wonderwall with Oasis, but I'm not. I'm not. I'm going to I love to channel my inner boy band, and I always go with I Want It That Way, Backstreet Boys. Because
Yeah,
I can
that's fun.
really get into it, you know what I mean? And I'm someone who's similar, that I don't have a good voice, but I like to make it seem as if if someone was watching through a glass window, they'd think that was great. You know what I mean? I'd be getting down and I would serenade the lady in the front row. That's it for me.
That's the best thing, right? Like, it's all about the performance. Even if you have a bad voice, you can totally sell it with the performance.
Of course you can.
Yeah, which is why I like to do the Genuine. And also, you can't mess that song up. Like, the lyrics are easy, it's slow. And also, it's 10-10. Where you been? Did you get my message? Best song ever. Okay, anyway, guys, tell us what you think. What's your go-to karaoke song? And also, have you checked out this Twitter account that we were just talking about? You definitely should. And you should also subscribe to this show if you haven't already. We love engaging with you guys, so comment. Let us know what you think. We always read what you have to say, and we do respond to them in a video that we post very often. So go ahead and do it, okay? Do it right now. I'm making you do it. All right, I want to give you guys an opportunity to let the audience know where to find you. Charlie Berens.
Yes, Charlie Berens. You can find me on Twitter, even though I just dissed them earlier in the show, and Instagram at Charlie Berens, and follow me on at Hollywood, where we do comedic takes on entertainment news.
Fun.
Nice. You can check me out on Twitter at Francis_Maxwell, on Instagram, Francis Maxwell TYT, and just go across the TYT network. I'm on Sports, What the Flick, Pop Trigger, everything else, and Sports Illustrated 120 Sports app.
All right, guys, you can check me out on Twitter at Ana Kasparian, Instagram, Ana Kasparian TYT, where I have posted videos of myself performing Genuine.
Nice.
Wow.
And, of course, I do The Young Turks. You guys should be able to find that by now. But if you can't, it's youtube.com/The Young Turks, where we do a live show Monday through Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Subscribe if you haven't already. Comment if you haven't already. We love hearing from you. And remember, never be afraid to make your point. What's up, everyone? Welcome to The Point. I'm your host, Ana Kasparian, and we have a super fun and maybe controversial show ahead for you guys today. We have two awesome panelists, Charlie Berens, who is the host of At Hollywood. He's returning to the show to answer some very difficult questions.
Very difficult questions.
Thank you
I'm
for
looking
coming
forward
back.
to it. Thanks for having me back.
It's going to
I
be
appreciate it.
fun. And we also have Francis Maxwell. He is host of TYT Sports and of What the Flick here at TYT Network. Francis, thank you for joining us.
Happy to be back on.
Bringing those sexy ties to TYT.
Right.
I was going to say, how do I have to come up with that?
When I make a point, I go like this.
All right.
I'll do it in my head.
We're going to talk about the fashion industry just a little bit today. At the start of the show, we will discuss one of America's Next Top Models who has vitiligo, and apparently she has sparked another debate about the issue regarding cultural appropriation, so we'll delve into that. Also, Twitter is siding with politicians in a very, very discouraging way. One man fought for 5 years to get his offensive band name copyrighted or trademarked. Did it work? We'll tell you how. And all the pornographic nature of the book. I mean, I'd venture to say that if anyone went through your search history, they might find a thing or two that would conflict with what you have to say. But that's just my speculation. All I really want to get across to everyone who's watching this video is that education is important. And no matter how difficult it is to absorb conflicting views, you absolutely have to do it just to be a smarter and better person. That's my point. America's Next Top Model featured a very unique looking model that doesn't get a lot of attention, usually in the mainstream fashion industry. Very beautiful woman by the name of Winnie Harlow. Now, she has a skin condition known as vitiligo, And apparently, she has many, many fans because of her success on America's Next Top Model. She finished in 5th place, and as a result, she has gotten some sponsorships and some partnerships with brands such as Diesel, and her fan base has grown considerably. Now, there are a number of people, like the people you're seeing right now, who wanted to celebrate her skin condition and show how beautiful they think it is by doing makeup on themselves to make it seem. So a virgin gets a bionic penis. What the hell is a bionic penis, and does it actually work? These are all interesting, fun topics, and of course we're going to delve into them and make our points. But before we get to that, I want to do something a little different on today's show. In the first version of The Point, there was a segment called No Filter. And in No Filter, I pick a topic and I just rant about it. I haven't done one in a while because we obviously have a new format on the show. But I came across a story yesterday that infuriated me. I'm not entirely sure why I was upset about it, but I wanted to share my opinion with you guys. And of course, I want to hear what you think. So comment and let me know if you side with me or disagree with me. Incoming freshmen at Duke University had a list of books that were optional to them. They were able to read them before coming into the school just so they can be on the same page as their peers. Well, apparently some of the students were really upset at one of the books in the selection because they felt that it was insensitive to conservative values. The book is Fun Home by a New York Times award-winning author. And B, you're being beyond disrespectful to the people who have put careful consideration into lesson plans and also book selections. I'm teaching at Cal State University Northridge right now. I teach journalism. And if one of my students came to me and said, I can't read this book on how to write for broadcast news because it goes against my morals, well, I would suggest that they drop out of the school and go do something else. Maybe they could go work at a church or something, because if you're not interested in learning, then you don't belong on a college campus. Now, this isn't me rejecting people's religious morals. It's okay if you have religious morals, but understand that when you're in a college setting, you are going to be confronted with information that might make you feel uncomfortable, but that's a good thing. That's supposed to make you a well-rounded individual. If you're constantly surrounded by people who are always agreeing with you, you will never grow, and that's precisely what will happen to Brian Grosso. So Brian, please open your mind. Gay people exist. Gay themes exist. That's reality. Just because it goes against your moral compass doesn't mean that the gay community doesn't exist, and it doesn't mean that you're somehow better than everyone else. And also, you had some sort of objection to an author by the name of Alhassen Bechdel, and apparently it has to do with her experience as a lesbian and also having a closeted gay father. It has gay themes, and apparently it has some illustrations that depict nudity and sexual acts. Now, one of the students who is not too happy about this is Brian Grosso, and he actually went on Facebook's Class of 2019 Duke University page to complain about this. And his complaint was, look, I'm not going to read this. This goes against my conservative morals. I really wish that this hadn't been assigned in the first place. He was actually surprised that it was assigned, which only went to infuriate me more. So why am I so upset? Here's the thing about college. You're supposed to be confronted with ideas that might conflict with your own. You're supposed to be challenged because when you go into college, you're an idiot. When you graduate college, you're still an idiot, but you're slightly smarter, right? And so if you go into college and you want confirmation bias, you're wasting your time. And unfortunately, if you just reject what's assigned to you because it goes against your so-called morals, well, A, you're not going to